What if fear had no voice in your life? Not quieted for a moment, not negotiated with, but gone, erased. Imagine waking up tomorrow and it's just silence. No second guessing, no hesitations, no inner critic whispering, "You're not ready, you're not enough." What kind of decisions would you finally make? What doors would you finally kick down? What dream would you chase, not with caution, but with fire in your chest and thunder in your stride? Because here's the truth no one told you. Fear was never the enemy. Obedience to fear is. Fear is natural. It's ancient. It's your brain's way of trying to keep you alive. But somewhere along the line, we stopped treating fear as a signal and started treating it as a command. Every time you let it dictate your next move, every time you shrink back instead of stepping forward, you hand over your power in exchange for a moment of comfort. You surrender your growth for a slice of safety. You don't stall because you're weak. You stall because fear convinced you that stillness is survival. But not today. Today we rip fear out of the shadows. Today we expose it, not with fake hype or feel-good fluff, but with real truth, raw practice, ruthless discipline, and a vision bigger than your excuses. Because the life you want, it's on the other side of the war you've been avoiding. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn how to stand up even when your hands shake, how to move before the fear takes root, how to rewire your mind so fear has no space left to breathe. Take a deep breath, step forward, and don't look back. Because this is the day fear dies. Let's get one thing straight. Fear is not the villain. It's instinct. It's primal. It's your biology screaming, "Stay safe." And it has saved your life more times than you realize. But what it was never meant to be is your leader. It's not your advisor. It's not your counselor. And it should never, not for one more day, sit at the head of the table when you're making decisions about your future. Most people live their lives with fear gripping the wheel, and they wonder why they're always going in circles. You feel fear when you're about to do something uncertain, something risky, something that threatens your comfort or your control. That's not weakness. That's your brain doing what it was programmed to do. But listen carefully. Fear itself is not what stops you. The pause is. The hesitation. The silence. The opportunity you let pass because you were waiting to feel ready. But that moment, it never comes. Because courage was never the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of it. And if you're waiting for your fear to disappear before you move, you'll wait your whole life. The ones who build empires, break systems, shift the world, they feel fear too. But they walk anyway. They speak anyway. They leap anyway. That's the shift. That's the edge. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to stop treating fear like it's in charge. Let it ride in the car if it wants, but it doesn't get to touch the wheel anymore. And here's the twist that flips everything. The more you walk through fear, the smaller it becomes. Every single time you act while you're still afraid, you teach your brain something new. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means this matters. It means you're close to something worth breaking through for. And your brain rewires itself with every repetition. Reality begins to shift. Eventually, you become the kind of person fear can't survive in, because you no longer obey its voice. So the next time fear starts knocking in your chest, don't try to make it go away. Just move. Don't negotiate. Don't overanalyze. Don't let it drag you into a debate. Because fear feeds on hesitation. But the moment you act, it starves. Fear is a master storyteller. It doesn't show up as a scream. It shows up as a whisper that sounds like your own voice. It spins a narrative so believable, so emotionally real, that you don't even recognize it as fiction. It says you're not ready, you're not smart enough, you're not worthy, that if you try, you'll fail, that if you speak up, they'll laugh, that if you chase your dream, you'll crash and burn. And because it sounds like your own thoughts, you believe it. But it's not truth. It's just repetition. A story you've told yourself so many times, it became familiar. Not true, just familiar. Fear doesn't need facts to control you. It just needs imagination. And it's damn good at using yours against you. You don't just worry about the job interview. You imagine it going horribly wrong. You don't just hesitate before a new challenge. You visualize public, irreversible failure. You don't just fear rejection. You mentally rehearse humiliation and abandonment. That's fear's tactic. It creates a vivid movie in your head, then convinces your nervous system that it's real. Your heart races. Your breath shortens. Your muscles tighten. And suddenly, you're not living in the moment. You're trapped inside a future that hasn't even happened. That's how fear wins. Not through force, but through fantasy. But if fear is built through repetition, so is confidence. If fear is just a story, then tell a better one. One where you rise. One where you speak and they listen. One where you leap and you land. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and memory. So if you can picture defeat, you can picture domination. If you can rehearse disaster, you can rehearse success. The battlefield isn't out there, it's in here. And the moment you take the pen back and start rewriting the script, you reclaim the power. You don't need to feel brave to act brave. You don't need to feel ready to move forward. You just need to stop letting fear hold the mic.
If this message touched your heart, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who might need this today. And if you want more content that feeds your soul, subscribe and stay with us. Your journey matters, and you're not alone.
Here's the lie fear wants you to believe. That it's your limit. That when it shows up, it's a warning to stop. But what if fear isn't a stop sign? What if it's a signal? What if it's not saying, don't go there, but instead, pay attention. This is where it gets real. Because fear only rises when something matters. That pounding in your chest, that fire behind your ribs, that's not weakness. That's your soul waking up. It's life shouting, you're on the edge of your next chapter. And fear? It's just the test before the transformation. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. The things that scare you most, public speaking, starting a business, ending a relationship, stepping into your purpose, they're not dangers, they're doorways. And the key to walk through them isn't perfection, it's movement. One step, that's all it takes. You don't have to know everything. You don't need the full blueprint. You just need the courage to say, I'm going anyway. Fear says, what if you fail? Courage says, what if I grow? Fear says, what if they laugh? Courage says, what if they cheer? Fear says, you're not enough. Courage answers, watch me. And here's the twist most people never learn. The fear never truly leaves. Not for the brave, not for the powerful, not for the legends. They just stop bowing to it. They learn to walk with fear, not behind it. They keep showing up, even while shaking. And that's what makes them powerful. Not their fearlessness, but their refusal to be ruled by fear. So the next time fear steps into the room, don't run. Don't retreat. Stand tall. Say, I see you, but you don't make decisions here. And then move. Because every time you move, fear gets smaller. Every time you speak when your voice shakes, every time you show up when your hands tremble, you remind your mind, we do hard things now. This is how the brave are made, not in theory, in repetition. The first time, it's terrifying. The second, uncomfortable. By the 10th, it's routine. By the 100th, it's freedom. Because repetition is how you break fear's grip, and it's also how you build your next identity. Let's talk about that identity, the one fear has tried to hide from you. You see, fear builds its power in silence, in avoidance, in overthinking. The longer you wait, the louder it gets. The more you try to figure it out, the more it whispers that maybe you shouldn't try at all. But fear doesn't shrink with time. It shrinks with exposure. Think about this. You're standing at the edge of an ice-cold pool. You dip your toe in, shiver, step back. You wait. You think. You stall. And the fear stays. But jump in, just jump, and your body adapts. Seconds later, you're no longer afraid. Why? Because experience shatters exaggeration. That's exposure. It's not about being reckless, it's about being willing. Willing to feel the fear and move anyway. Willing to face discomfort and say, this is where I grow. That's the only way through. You speak even when your voice trembles. You show up even when your legs are shaking. You launch the thing even when it's imperfect. You say the truth even when you fear the response. That's the training. That's the path. That's the work. Fear doesn't get smaller because you avoid it. It gets smaller because you stand in it, again and again and again. The people you admire, the speakers, the leaders, the creators, the warriors, they weren't born brave. They were born scared, just like you, but they refused to stay that way. They built their courage in the fire. They walked through the storm until thunder became background noise. They stood in front of fear so many times that it couldn't shake them anymore. And no, fear never fully disappears. But it stops controlling you. It loses its voice, its grip, its power. Because now you've heard it all before and you did it anyway. This is the truth they never tell you. The only way out is through. Through the trembling, through the risk, through the failure, through the doubt. You walk into the storm not because you're fearless, but because you finally understand. The other side of fear holds the life you haven't lived yet. And that's a price worth paying. But to get there, you must go to the source, your mind. Because fear doesn't begin in the world. It begins in your thoughts, in the quiet moments, in the invisible stories you repeat to yourself day after day. Stories of inadequacy, of failure, of danger, of what if it all goes wrong? Those stories shape your reality, silently, slowly, until one day you mistake them for truth. But here's the radical shift. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching your thoughts. You are the author, the architect, the fighter. And if you don't choose your thoughts with intention, they will choose for you. Untrained, your mind is a battlefield, and fear wins by default. But trained, your mind becomes a weapon, a fortress, a force of nature. And it begins with one simple decision: to stop believing every voice in your head. When fear whispers, "You're not ready," you don't accept it. You challenge it. You say, "Says who?" When it says, "You'll fail," you say, "Maybe, but I'll learn." You flip the script. You take the pen back. You decide what gets written next. Because every thought is a seed, and what you water grows. Water fear, you harvest hesitation. Water courage, you build a life that fear can't breathe in. This isn't toxic positivity, it's mental warfare. And you're the commander now.
You want to kill fear? You don't wait for motivation.
You don't wait to feel ready. You train. You train like a warrior. Because the truth is, fear isn't slain with a single moment of bravery. It's buried with discipline, over and over and over again, until courage becomes your default. You've seen athletes train their bodies, musicians train their fingers, fighters train their reflexes. Why would your mind be any different? You've got to condition it on purpose. You flood it with truth until the lies have nowhere left to breathe. You carve new beliefs so deep into your identity that fear has no foothold left to stand on. You start every day with intention, not by accident, not on autopilot. Wake up and declare, I move through fear. I face what scares me. I act with courage, even when I don't feel it yet. These aren't just feel-good affirmations. They are commands, and your subconscious listens to what you repeat. But don't stop at the words. Live it. Act it out. Prove it with motion. Because your mind watches your behavior more than it listens to your thoughts. It believes what it sees you do. So when you speak up while scared, when you take that first uncomfortable step, when you push through instead of pulling back, your brain says, okay, this is who we are now. That's how identity changes. That's how fear loses control. You build a new reality, one brave decision at a time. And hear me clearly, you're not weak because you feel fear, but you stay weak if you let fear lead. Discipline your mind, and the world outside begins to bend. You no longer chase confidence, you become it. Here's the truth. If you don't program your thoughts, fear will. It will hijack your vision, your voice, your destiny. So you've got to become a mental architect. You guard your thoughts like gold. You interrupt the lies and replace them with strength. You catch the I can't and switch it to I will. You ask better questions. You stop asking what if I fail and start asking what if I rise. Every single moment becomes a fork in the road. Do I feed fear or fuel freedom? Because make no mistake, fear feeds on your attention. It survives on the energy you give it. Starve it, and it dies. And maybe you're thinking, this all sounds powerful, but how do I start? What do I actually do? Let me show you. Let me give you the tools. Because this isn't just about mindset. This is about movement. You want to destroy fear? Build a routine that does it for you. Every single day. Start small. Start deliberate. 1. Do one uncomfortable thing every morning. Not reckless, not dramatic. Just something that makes your heart beat a little bit faster. A cold shower. A difficult conversation. A task you've been avoiding. Why? Because your nervous system learns from experience. And when you train your body to survive discomfort, fear begins to respect you. 2. Move physically every day. Walk, run, train. Get your body in motion. Because stagnation is fear's favorite place to hide. And motion? Motion is clarity. Motion is energy. Motion kills fear. 3. Speak power every morning. Don't start your day passively. Start with fire. Look in the mirror and say, I don't back down. I don't shrink. I was built to rise. Say it like you mean it. Say it until you become it. 4. Win the first battle of the day. Make your bed. Finish the task. Show up early. Do the thing you don't want to do. Because winning early creates momentum. And momentum? It's a freight train. It makes the impossible feel inevitable. 5. Reflect before bed. Ask yourself, where did fear try to whisper today? And where did I fight back? That's how you refine. That's how you sharpen. That's how you become unshakable. The fearless life isn't an accident. It's a discipline. Built in the small, repeated, unseen choices you make every single day. You kill fear by refusing to feed it, by refusing to answer when it calls, by choosing boldness again and again until fear's voice fades into the background. And when it comes back, and it will, you won't tremble, because now you know what it is: a shadow, a story, a sound with no authority. Now you understand. It never had power. It just had permission. And you're done giving it that. From this moment on, you walk through fire, not because you feel brave, but because you know the fire forges you. You stop negotiating with your doubts. You stop bowing to your hesitations. You stop letting fear decide who you get to be. Because you were never meant to live small. You aren't built to tiptoe through life, apologizing for your own potential. You were built to roar. You were designed to shake the ground when you walk into the room, to lead, to create, to speak, to rise. So this is your line in the sand. This is the moment fear loses its crown. This is where your new story begins. Not one without fear, but one where fear is irrelevant. Because now you have rituals, you have repetition, you have a code. You're not waiting to feel ready. You decide, you move, you become.
If this message touched your heart, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who might need this today. And if you want more content that feeds your soul, subscribe and stay with us. Your journey matters, and you're not alone.
Picture this. You're at the very end, lying on your deathbed with nothing left but time. And around you are not just memories, but ghosts. Ghosts of the dreams you didn't chase, the moments you let slip, the voices you silenced, the version of you that could have been if only fear didn't get a vote. And one by one, they look at you, not with anger, but with one haunting question. Why did you let fear decide for you? That's the cost. Not just a missed opportunity here and there, but a legacy rewritten in whispers instead of war cries. A life that could have been loud, but stayed silent. Fear doesn't just rob you of moments, it robs you of your becoming. It convinces you to shrink when you were born to expand. It seduces you into safety when your soul was made for storms. And here's what most people don't realize. They're not choosing safety. They're choosing smallness. They're not choosing rest. They're choosing regret. Because fear wears the mask of logic. It pretends to be practical. It says things like, play it safe. Now's not the time. Just wait. But it never stops saying those things. And if you keep listening, your entire life becomes a slow-motion burial of your potential. Let me be crystal clear. No one remembers the man who played it safe. No one builds statues for the woman who never risked failing. No one rewrites the world by staying comfortable. History is written by those who moved forward while afraid, by those who stood tall when their knees shook, by those who acted in the presence of terror, not its absence. That's what builds legacy, not perfection, not certainty, not convenience, but discomfort, sacrifice, relentless, intentional courage. And I get it. You want to be liked. You want to be understood. You want the approval, the acceptance, the applause. But let me ask you, whose opinion will matter more? Theirs or yours at the end? When your time is up, what will your life say about you? Will it whisper stories of missed chances and muted dreams? Or will it roar with the sound of someone who refused to be ruled by fear? You don't need to know every step ahead. You don't need all the answers. You just need to refuse to let fear speak for you any longer. Because whether you act or not, your legacy is being written, and only one version ends with you free. But let's get even more practical. Let's get down to the daily, because mindset is great, but it's movement that shatters fear. So here's your new operating system. You train fear
out of your life every single day. It doesn't start with a grand gesture. It starts with a ritual, a rhythm, a lifestyle. Here's how you make it real. Every morning, the first thing you do isn't check your phone, it's step into the fire. Not literal, but intentional. Cold water, honest truth, that call you've been avoiding. Do something that forces your heart to beat faster. Why? Because your nervous system learns from experience, and when you show it you won't break, fear starts to shrink. Then move. Physically move. Get your blood pumping. Lift, run, walk. Doesn't matter what, just move. Because a still body is a magnet for fear. But a body in motion? It carries momentum. And momentum is fear's worst enemy. Speak power out loud. Affirmations aren't fluff, they're war strategy. The words you speak in the morning echo through your day. So speak like a warrior. Speak like someone fear should be scared of. Say, I face fear and move anyway. I don't shrink, I expand. I act with purpose, I live with power. Say it until your body believes it, until your spirit embodies it. Next, win early. Make your bed, send the email, keep your promise to yourself. Because when you stack small wins, your identity begins to shift. And when you start to see yourself as someone who does, fear loses its grip. And finally, reflect. End your day with clarity. Ask, where did fear try to sneak in today, and where did I shut the door? Because self-awareness is your edge. It's how you get sharper. It's how you evolve. And remember, you don't need to do it all perfectly. You just need to do it consistently. That's how the unshakable are built. That's how fear gets suffocated. Because you're not just thinking brave thoughts, you're living them. You're not waiting for courage, you're becoming it. So let today be the last day fear speaks for you. Let it be the last time it gets to vote on your future. Let it be the moment you took the crown back from the shadow that never deserved to rule. Because you weren't born to be passive. You weren't born to just exist. You were born to dominate. You were born to lead. And fear? It's just a signal. It means you're on the edge of your next level. So go there. Lean into it. Step across it. Because what's waiting on the other side is the version of you that fear could never touch.
Let's settle this once and for all. You will not become fearless by waiting to feel brave. You don't kill fear by waiting for some magical surge of confidence to crash over you like a wave. You kill fear with discipline. Motivation? That's the spark. It's loud, exciting, and fast, but it fades. Discipline? That's the engine. It's the steady hum under the surface. It's what keeps you going long after the spark dies out. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Every fearless life, every single one, is built on discipline. Not the kind that looks glamorous, but the kind that shows up, rain or shine. The kind that moves forward when it doesn't feel like it. The kind that gets back up again and again, no matter how many times fear tries to punch you in the mouth. Fear wants you emotional. It wants you reactive. It wants you to second-guess yourself, to spin in indecision, to stay trapped in your head. Discipline? It silences all of that, because discipline doesn't argue. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care how you feel. It just acts. The alarm goes off, you rise. The task is hard, you do it anyway. The voice of doubt whispers, you move forward regardless. And here's what happens over time. Fear starts to get the message. It realizes it no longer controls the schedule. It doesn't delay your purpose. It doesn't sit at the table when the future is being built. Because you've trained yourself to act, especially when it's hard. You see, the more you act in the presence of fear, the more you rewire your mind. You stop interpreting fear as danger. You start interpreting it as data. That trembling in your hands? Data. That tightness in your chest? Data. That racing heart? Data. It doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. It means you're getting close to something important. It means you're standing on the edge of growth. So ask yourself, are you living based on feeling, or are you living by principle? Because if fear still calls the shots, it's time to shift the rules. Build rituals that train your response. Rehearse greatness until it feels familiar. Surround yourself with reminders of your mission. Keep promises to yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. And most importantly, take one small act of courage every single day. One moment of defiance, one bold choice, one deep breath followed by forward motion. Because courage isn't built in the grand gestures, it's forged in the repetition, over and over, again and again, until fear doesn't even know how to reach you anymore. You wake up one day and wonder, why did I ever let fear run my life? And that's when you know, you're not just surviving, you're becoming inevitable. Let's play this out. Let's take it all the way to the edge, because I want you to see what's really at stake here. Imagine your future self, older, wiser, sitting on the porch, looking back over a lifetime. And ask yourself, what will you regret more, the failures you made while moving forward, or the chances you never took because you let fear dictate the rules? Because the fear of regret will always burn hotter than the fear of failure. Failure stings, sure, but regret? Regret haunts. It lingers. It echoes. It shows up in quiet moments when no one's watching and whispers, "You could have done more." So ask yourself again, what will your life say when it's all said and done? Will it tell the story of a soul that refused to settle? Or will it be a tale of caution, of waiting, of maybe someday? Because fear will always offer you a comfortable life, but it will never offer you a fulfilling one. Comfort is cheap. Legacy costs everything. It costs your excuses. It costs your need to be liked. It costs your addiction to certainty. It costs your commitment to playing small. But it gives you freedom in return. It gives you peace at the end. It gives you a story that was lived, not imagined. So choose wisely. Choose now. Choose movement over stalling. Choose boldness over avoidance. Choose to be remembered. Because fear can only lead you if you let it. And you are not here to be led by fear. You're here to lead yourself. You're here to take the mic back, to write the story that makes your blood rush, to build something so big, so bold, so true to who you are, that fear has no place left to hide. So build your rituals, make them sacred, guard them like treasure, because these small daily disciplines, they are the hammer that breaks fear's bones. They are the proof that you've changed, that you're no longer negotiating with your potential. You're claiming it. One action at a time, one decision at a time, one fearless moment at a time. And let this be the line you draw in the sand. From this moment forward, fear is not the authority. You are. If this message touched your heart, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who might need this today. And if you want more content that feeds your soul, subscribe and stay with us. Your journey matters, and you're not alone.
Let me tell you a secret most never hear. Fear doesn't die in a moment. It dies in a process. It dies when your new habits suffocate the old voices. It dies when you stop obeying it and start outlasting it. Because fear is not a beast, it's a parasite. It only survives when it feeds off your hesitation, your overthinking, your silence. Starve it long enough, and it begins to fade. Replace it long enough, and it forgets where you live. Here's how the process works, and it's not complicated, but it is relentless. First, every morning you get uncomfortable on purpose. This isn't about pain, it's about power. You train your system to stop interpreting discomfort as danger. You normalize the unknown. You choose the cold water. You initiate the difficult call. You step first when everyone else waits. This rewires your nervous system. It teaches your biology, I don't run from tension, I move through it. Second, and this is non-negotiable, you move your body. Stagnation is fear's favorite breeding ground. But motion? Motion is clarity. It wakes up the warrior inside you. You don't need a gym membership or fancy gear. You need movement. A walk, a run, 10 push-ups, a breath that says, I'm alive. When your body moves, your mind follows. And when your mind follows, fear falls behind. Third, you speak like a leader. Not someday, not when you feel confident, now. Affirmation is not woo-woo, it's warfare. Your subconscious mind listens, so give it something powerful to obey. Say, I move before I'm ready. I act in the presence of fear. I was built to rise. You're not convincing yourself, you're commanding yourself. Because identity isn't something you find, it's something you forge. And forging takes fire. It takes repetition. It takes speaking with so much certainty that fear has no room left to echo. Fourth, win early. Don't wait for a big win to feel momentum. Stack small ones. Make your bed. Finish the task. Show up 5 minutes early. Say no to the thing that drains you. Say yes to the thing that scares you. Every small win becomes proof. Proof that you're not the same. Proof that fear doesn't run this show anymore. Proof that you've shifted. And last, every night you reflect. Not to judge, to sharpen. You ask, where did fear speak today? And more importantly, where did I speak louder? This is how warriors are built, not by avoiding fear, but by facing it until it breaks before you do. You show up every day with one goal: be harder to scare than you were yesterday. That's what mastery looks like. Not perfection, progression. And here's the beautiful part. Once you stop running from fear, you start to lead it. You start to see it for what it really is, a compass, not a barrier, a signal. Fear says, this matters. Fear says, this is where your growth lives. Fear says, this is your next level waiting. So instead of avoiding fear, you hunt it. You ask, where is fear hiding in my life? And then you go there. You go to the place that shakes you. You open the door you've been afraid to knock on. You say the thing you've been choking back for years. Because now you understand. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the map. It shows you exactly where your freedom is buried. The people you admire, the ones who lead, who inspire, who shift rooms when they speak, they feel fear too. The only difference is they've trained their mind to walk
anyway. Fear rises, and they rise higher. Fear whispers, and they speak louder. Fear says stop, and they speed up. That's what separates the legendary from the average. Not fearlessness, but fear mastery. And here's the last truth most avoid. You don't need permission to act. You don't need confirmation. You don't need applause. You need to decide. Decide that the pain of staying stuck is greater than the fear of moving forward. Decide that you're no longer available for a life that plays small. Decide that the version of you that hides isn't coming with you into your next season. You're done whispering. You're done waiting. You're done letting fear negotiate your legacy. From here on out, your actions speak first. Your courage moves first. Your standards rise first. And fear? Fear can come along for the ride, but it rides in the back, windows up, mouth shut, because you've got work to do, a life to build, a mission to fulfill. You don't need less fear. You need more movement. So keep moving.
This is the moment. Not someday. Not when you feel more confident. Not when fear finally shuts up. Now. Now is the time to bury the fear. Not just manage it, not just coexist with it. Kill it. Kill it with truth. Kill it with movement. Kill it with discipline so sharp it slices through every excuse you've ever made. Because fear only lives where permission exists. And from this moment forward, it has none. You're not available for hesitation anymore. You're not interested in comfort anymore. You're not here to fit into the mold fear built for you. You are here to break it. So today, you move. Not because you're unafraid, but because you finally understand fear never deserved your respect. You stared it in the face. You've seen it for what it really is. A shadow, a whisper, a ghost of something that was never real in the first place. And now, it's done. Because now, you are someone new. You've trained for this. You've conditioned your mind. You've rewired your thoughts. You've moved even when it was hard. And that momentum, it's unstoppable. So when fear rises again, and it will, you'll recognize it, not as a threat, but as a sign that you're close, a sign that you're expanding, a sign that your next level is just one decision away. And this time, you won't flinch. You'll smile. Because you've studied the game. You've learned its moves. You've seen the tricks, the lies, the illusions. You know that fear only has the power you give it. And you're done giving. From now on, there's only one voice that leads. Your vision. Only one force that drives. Your mission. Only one identity that rules. The warrior you've built. So stand up. Straighten your spine. Look fear in the face one final time. And say, thank you. Thank you for the pressure. Thank you for the friction. Thank you for being the fire I had to walk through to find out who I really am. And now, say goodbye. Because this isn't a pause. This is the closing chapter of fear's reign in your life. This is where it ends. And where you begin. Because now, you've become untouchable. Now you've become dangerous to everything that tried to keep you small.
You've become the person who moves when others freeze, who speaks when others stay silent, who acts no matter how loud the fear gets. That's who you are now. So if you ever feel fear creeping in again, do not shrink. Lean in. Lean toward the fire. Let it remind you of your strength. Let it burn away the noise, the lies, the parts of you that were never meant to stay. Because fire doesn't just destroy, it refines. And that's what you are now. Refined, rebuilt, ready. This is the warrior's path. Not safe, not perfect, but real. And it's yours now. So keep walking, keep sharpening, keep pushing. Because fear may still knock, but you don't answer the door anymore. You've got bigger things to build, people to serve, dreams to chase, a legacy to leave. And fear is not invited. So let the world say what it will. Let the voices chatter around you. You are too deep in your purpose to be distracted, too aligned to be derailed, too focused to be afraid. And if you ever forget, come back to this moment. Come back to this message. Come back to this truth. You don't need to wait to feel fearless. You just need to decide to be. Because you were never powerless. You were just uninformed. But now, you know. You've seen it. You've lived it. And it's only the beginning. Because the fear is behind you now. But your future, your calling, your next chapter, it's just getting started. And your other self, the version of you that never hesitates, never retreats, never needs approval to rise, that version is waiting. Not in the clouds, not in some perfect moment. Right here. Right now. In your next step. In your next action. So go. Go be the storm. Go speak the truth. Go live the life that fear tried to talk you out of. Because this is your time. And you are fearless. Not because you feel nothing, but because you chose everything.